It's Tom Panos here. I've got with me Matthew Bourn, who's the owner of McConnell Bourn, an amazing business in Sydney in the north. Welcome.
Thank you, Tom.
Matthew, you've been a client of News Limited for some time, and a lot of the people in our area would know of you, but a lot of the viewers here right around Australia won't know of your brand and your business. Can I have a short background into your career in real estate?
Yeah, sure, Tom. Look, I started in '94 with the franchise group, was there for 7 years in a sales capacity role, a small agency, moved away in 2000. In fact, we started McConnell Bourn primarily as a property management company to start with, when I was contracted to sales, and then people were sort of saying, can you sell for us? So we moved away, and it was just my wife and myself, basically in the beginning there, in 2000. 2004, we moved into our offices with 3 people, and then today we're up to about 37 people with 2 offices.
Okay, so that's 20 years roughly in real estate, and during that period of time you have been a very active sales agent.
Correct.
And there have been years that you've written over $1 million in commission.
Correct.
And you still sell and list today, but you are moving into the next phase, which is more leading, coaching, mentoring, and running the 2 businesses from a helicopter view versus actually being there at every buyer and seller appointment.
Absolutely. Yep.
But what I want to ask you is, how have you found managing the business and doing listing and selling? Is it doable?
It's doable to a point. It's getting tough now. We've got 14 sales agents now.
Right.
It's been a lot of fun. I enjoy the sales side of the business. I enjoy the business side, but I think my skill is really in the sales side of things. And over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, our agents have really come into their own in the sense of their productivity and their fees, which has allowed me now to sort of step back a little bit and actually look at that, as you said, the helicopter view.
Yeah.
And look at that sales direction view of the company. So
okay.
That's working well.
Can I ask you, in your time in real estate, both as an owner and as a salesperson, what do you see some of the characteristics and qualities of the best salespeople?
Best salespeople, in my opinion, look, they're committed and they're focused 100%, and 100% of the time. So there's no time wasting. They know what they need to do. They get in there, they do it really well. They avoid distractions around them. They hit the phones, they know the numbers they've got to do and the people they've got to talk to, and very committed and focused. I think that's, from where I sit the best people perform in the marketplace and take great gains.
Okay. On the same hand, you would have employed people, and you've seen people that may have the gift of the gab.
Mm-hmm.
On the surface, they look like they're going to be successful, but they just never take off. Maybe spend 1 or 2 years, they dabble in real estate in the sense that they're there, but they're not there. Why is it that these people fail when the opportunity is incredible in the business?
I never really understand that why, but I think it just comes down to lack of diligence. You're right, they've got the gift of the gab, they can talk it through, but they can't walk the talk. They lack, I think, self-discipline, and really getting in there and focusing and knuckling down and doing the numbers. It's a numbers game. We know how many people we're going to call, we know how many sales we need, how many appraisals we need to get. They're great, put them in front of someone, they can sell themselves, but actually getting them to be in front of someone can be the challenge.
Okay. Can I ask you, in your 20 years in real estate, if you were talking to yourself 20 years ago, knowing what you know now, what would you say to yourself, Matthew, about real estate, and what advice would you give you?
Tom, what I know now is incredibly different. I would have a very simple 1-page plan. If I was coming in today, 1-page plan with probably the key 5 activities that I would need to do day in and day out, and do them very, very well, and keep myself accountable, or have someone keep me accountable to what I need to do on a day-by-day basis. I think that would be the key. Okay,
so that is a very simplistic answer, but I think it's very powerful, and that is to not overcomplicate it, to pick 5 critical behaviours and just become world-class at those.
Absolutely.
Than just dabbling around and doing spur-of-the-moment activities sometimes, and drips and drabs. Just stick to a process of 5 activities and master those.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, can I ask you a little bit about getting into more listing presentations? What's the advice that you can give people that, and that's the biggest issue in Australia, people say that we just don't get into enough listing presentations. What's the advice that you can give to agents about that?
Look, at my guys and my team, what we focus on is being specialists rather than generalists. So I think a real estate agent, the typical one, just looks for the next bit of business. So they're not really streamlining their processes and actually honing in on where they need to be. So we look at it very much and saying there's a core group of properties there, call it 1,000 homes, and become a specialist within those properties, okay, and grab market share and hold market share in that particular area. So that's what our guys do, and they get stuck right into owning that particular patch,
right.
I guess, becoming the authority in that particular patch.
Yeah.
And when, you know, when someone needs to sell their property, you're the go-to person. You're the one that actually is top of mind, on the mind shelf of anyone that wants to sell in that particular area.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that for you to be the specialist, to be the best known, narrow it down and own it.
Correct.
Versus having to be one of many agents in a marketplace because you're all doing the same thing. Just basically become a brain tattoo on people's head.
Correct.
That you are the absolute specialist in that marketplace.
Absolutely.
I know that you're trialling a project at the moment, or a product called Hotspotting.
Yep.
And I think that that probably is a good lead-in into talking about specialising in a marketplace.
Yeah.
Tell me this trial that you've been doing at Warunga in hotspotting. What does it mean? What is hotspotting?
Yeah. What we've done, Tom, we've taken, say, one of our agents' territories, and you look at the sales over a, say, 3 to 5 year period, and you'll see, let's call it this particular marketplace, you might have sales from $800,000 to $5 million. And you look at that and you'll see a traditional curve as to the activity levels in that particular marketplace. What we do is narrow that down and look at the most active part of that particular market. So you might have, you know, a couple of sales at the $800,000 level and a couple of sales at the $5 million level. And the typical agent will do a couple of those and a couple of those and a few in between. So what we look at doing is actually reducing that, I guess, that market down to a core particular market. And that's where the highest activity happens in that particular marketplace. So if there was 50 sales, for instance, you might have, you want to be a specialist in that sort of 30 sales between, say, you know, it could be 1.2 and 1.5 million.
Right.
That's the highest activity within that market. So you look at those particular, and that then drills down into, well, what are the, we map that out, what are the streets, down to what are the houses that we need to focus on, become best friends with, to enable to get in more doors in that particular area. So I guess what we look at is saying if there's 15 or 1,000 homes in that particular market, there might then only be 300 properties within that 1,000 that we need to become best friends with. The rest of them, acquaintances, but those become our best friends. And what we typically see there is about a 20% better return on investment on time spent, specialising on those particular people. Of course, not ignoring the balance, but becoming best friends with those guys. And what we've seen is that the average fee is fantastic, and your return on that investment is better, rather than being a generalist right across that market. Is that?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think metaphorically, in many ways, what you're saying is segmenting the marketplace to people that need your service versus coercing people that don't want to hear from you, and actually just being out there and making yourself available. Like if I was looking at another industry, a soft drink analogy, it would be finding out who all the soft drink drinkers are, and then having Coca-Cola spend their time and energy, sales and marketing activity on people that are going to buy a drink.
Correct.
So this trial's going to go for 6 months, is it?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, I'll be really interested to talk to you in 6 months' time to see how it progresses, you know?
Yeah. It's a tough one because, number one, it's a little bit hard to measure, but we can measure in the sense that we know what where the properties are, and we can start to measure our success in getting in the doors of those particular properties. So it would be interesting to see the outcomes.
It's funny that you're talking about this, because I do remember that I did have, I think it was a uni lecturer that I had once in marketing, and he said to me, Tom, no matter how clever you are and your marketing manager in a corporation, you can't create a market and give a product if it's not there. A far smarter thing to do is to find out where the market is and what they want, and to actually deliver that.
Correct.
And what you're really doing is segmenting and working out where there is a need and focusing activities on that. I want to talk to you about the fact that your business is an attraction-based business.
Correct.
In the North, people know of your business. What are some of the strategies and techniques that you've used yourself and the business to be an attraction agent?
comes down to, look, the philosophy of McConnell Bourn is to come down to 6-star service. So looking at the right advice, the right experience, and the excellent outcome is I guess, our core way of looking at things. Secondly, obviously, there's this brand and creating a fantastic brand and a fantastic culture. Number one, the culture attracts people into the business, but I think then that emulates back out into the marketplace. So when we're with clients, they get a sense and a feel of how we work, and that attraction then sort of moves from the agent across to the client, and that's what's worked very well for us in the last sort of 15 years.
Right. Okay, beautiful. I want to talk to you about, you told me earlier today that your passions, listing, negotiating,
Yep.
The communication part of the business. Are you a good lister?
Very good, very good.
What makes you a good lister?
Tom, I reckon it's my genuineness.
Yeah.
I think that I come across as the trusted advisor. I'm not trying to pull the wool over their eyes. I'm not trying to sell them something that they don't need. My market knowledge is exceptional. My sell-through rate is very high, and I deliver on what I say. So I think it's a very basic belief in myself and actually delivering on what I promise I will do. And that comes around to that communication and that trusted advisor approach,
Yeah.
rather than just that sort of, just get it and flog it for anything you can do.
Right.
And put it through the process as fast as you can.
Okay, do you think the fact that you've been around, when you go out to a listing presentation, do you think that you've got an advantage over another person that may not have positioning in a marketplace and that they've got to prove themselves harder? Or do you think that it's even Steven once you're at a listing presentation?
No, never rest on my laurels in that sense. We have a great brand and we have a great market share in our particular market, but we can never go in with an assumption that we're actually going to win. It's funny, I actually go in today probably harder than I ever have in
Right.
the sense because I want that client to have our services, because I really truly deep down believe that if they don't, they're disadvantaged. So we go in really hard in the sense of making sure that we can give that client, as I said, the best advice, experience and outcome throughout the sale. And look, we might have a small advantage being given the size and the market share we have, but we don't rest on our laurels by any chance.
Okay, so there's two points I get out of that part of the conversation. Number one is, even though you might be positioned and have a relationship, don't take it for granted that showing up is enough,
Yep.
that you've got to treat it like it's the first time you're meeting these people, and you've got to
Yep.
treat it like a normal listing presentation. And the second thing is, you feel that you go hard to get the business because not only is it benefiting your business, but you believe it's benefiting them, because if you don't get it and
Yep.
they give it to another agent, you feel like they're being disadvantaged. That's what
Correct.
more or less
Yeah,
you've said
absolutely.
to me.
Yeah, that's it. And they're buying our energy.
Yeah.
So you've got to go. I mean, I've been in the situations where I felt it to lay down the there, and you go the casual approach, and you don't really put your effort and energy into it, and you lose the business, and that's wrong. You just, as I said, you just can't rest on your laurels. You've got to go in and demonstrate, because we've got some good competition, and there are some good agents in our marketplace, but we've got to make sure we demonstrate why we're the best.
Okay, finally, Matthew, can you tell me September, October, November, December this year, what's your feeling on what it's going to be like? There has been an excessive shortage of listings across Australia,
Yeah.
And that's been validated by companies like RP Data. Do you feel that that's changing and that more stock will come through the remainder of this calendar year?
Yeah, I do, Tom. Look, we've seen just in the last 10 days the inquiry rate pick up from people saying, look, we're now making a decision to do something. I think the election and the change of government had a big impact on people making the decision. I don't know why, personally, because I don't think really at the end of the day, regardless of government, that it's going to stop people doing what they want to do, or people buying property. But yeah, we're starting to see that free up, and I'm really confident on a great September through to Christmas.
Okay, fantastic. Finally, the best piece of advice. There's probably about 4,500 agents that are going to watch this.
Yep.
That's the click rate that I have, which equates to 4,500 agents will watch this video.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are out there struggling,
Yep.
in pain, waking up thinking, is real estate for me? After 20 years in the business, what's the best advice you'd give them?
Tom, it's all about, for me, it's commitment and it's belief, and and driving that belief all the way through. And having, as I said from the outset, a very simple plan and executing that exceptionally well. If real estate is not a part-time gig, there's the old adage of, it's about an adult daycare centre, and you'll see that in any agency. And I think you've got to come in and be committed from the outset. You've got to be willing to accept the hard knocks and the rejection, because there's a lot of rejection, but every no leads closer to a yes. You've got to get yourself top of mind within your particular territory area, and have the skill, train yourself, dialogue yourself up, and have excellent sell-through. You've got to have all that. And if you don't, and you're not committed to it, get out of the game, because it's not simple, but it's very rewarding at the end of the day.
Okay, and on that note, that word commitment that was used a number of times in this video, I think it's been summed up by Matthew. I mean, there are going to be days that you're going to like better than others. You're going to have days that you feel down. You're going to have days that maybe the passion is not there, but the thing that's going to get you going in there every day of the week, month in, month out, in a long 20-year real estate career is commitment, that one word. So thank you so much for your time, Matthew.
Tom.
And I look forward to speaking to you again in 6 months.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.